All right. We bring in our special guest, the head coach of the Tuttle Tigers, Coach Bobby Williams. His Tuttle Tigers win another state championship, their 23rd dual state tournament. Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope everything's going well with you.
Yeah. Hey, again, thank you guys for having me on. The goal is a team to win a dual state title, and there's one goal accomplished, and so it's exciting. It was an exciting night.
Coach, it was a great atmosphere at the UMAC. It's there's so many places in the state that can host it, but the UMAC is near the top as far as a facility for 8 mats and for the crowds that the state wrestling tournament brings.
Man, it's there's not a bad seat in that place for dual atmosphere like that. It don't matter where you're sitting, you can see every dual, every mat. Like you said, it's a great atmosphere for wrestling. Great atmosphere for dual state.
Yeah. I always think, you've won 17 of these in a row. How do you keep the team hungry? I know in Tuttle, that's what you do. I understand that. Football, basketball, wrestling. I get that. Baseball. Coach Draper would get upset with me if I didn't mention baseball. But man, what is it that keeps you guys at this high of a level every single year? Obviously, you're very talented. Obviously, coaches know what they're doing, but still, you got to have the focus. Where's that come from?
Yeah. So we really don't talk about the streak thing. Every year is a new team, some same faces, of course, but the dynamic of a team is different every year. And so we sit down, we talk as a team, and we talk about goals and where they want to be individually and as a team. And, every year these guys set high standards for themselves. And there's a high standard in our program, of course. And, they got to reach that bar. But, they're excited for these moments. It never gets old. It doesn't, to reach this. I've been on the other side of it too. I was on some Tuttle teams where we didn't win dual state, lost to the Cushing Tigers twice when I was in high school. So that still, resonates with me. I'm like, guys, this is something that we want to accomplish. You guys want to accomplish, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that you guys reach a goal that you set out as a team. And so, never gets old. It's always exciting. And the guys, they rally around each other for this moment. We really enjoy dual state. It's a great event, and they're excited. Coming Friday and driving up and ready to rock.
Yeah. So, Coach, you obviously wrestled for Tuttle yourself, won a state title, went on to college. He's 2-time All-American. So, but from on the competition side as a wrestler, and now you're on the competition side as a coach. What is the main difference for you? Is it still like a competitive thing? Is it more of I want to see these guys have the same success I had? Like, what is it that drives you to get such production out of these guys? Is it more of the competitor in you, or is it something else?
Being from Tuttle, being a Tuttle guy, there's a lot of pride that goes into this. Of course, being from, this is my hometown. And so, we'll do anything in our power to make sure that these guys have everything they need to reach the goals that they set for themselves. And so there's probably on both ends. I really, really enjoy developing our wrestlers and seeing a kid that, started in 7th grade and now is in our lineup and is having a lot of success. We got quite a few of those guys through our history of our program. And so there's a little bit of both. Me being from Tuttle, and, I care a lot about the program, and all of our wrestlers that have been part of this know, no one's bigger than the brand of Tuttle. Tuttle's a very unique place in a sense, like you guys mentioned it. We're successful in a lot of things with a bunch of different kids. And so, they're going to do everything they possibly can to not let this thing slide.
As a head coach, I think it might be maybe a little bit better than an athlete, because you got 14 matches in one night compared to when you're wrestling, you only have one, you're done. But as a coach, you have 14. So that's kind of a good deal.
Yeah. I still remember being in a Tuttle singlet, and those are, memories that I'll have forever. And, now I get to be on this awesome side of sitting in their corners and, supporting them and being there for them. And so, it's, this will never get old. So we're going to keep doing everything we possibly can to stay where we are. And it's a lot of work, and the guys, they meet us, and their expectations are really high.
we before we get into the dual and regional and upcoming state, I do have a question. You know, we're talking about Tuttle, another 4A state championship. When will we start talking about Tuttle in 5A? Are we 2 years? Are we 5 years? Are we 10 years? When's the you think the crystal ball might say for Tuttle to bump up?
Yeah, you know, that talk of us going up to 5A, I think started like 7 years ago. It's been a while. People are like, oh, Tuttle's growing. Tuttle, the city is growing, of course, but you guys know how it works. I mean, they can build 10,000 more homes, but if they're not bringing kids into the school, you know, it's just 10,000 more homes. So there are housing additions popping up everywhere, and we're seeing some growth, but it's kind of up and down. It's kind of how Tuttle's been when it comes down to kids that are entering the schools. You know, we're a bedroom community right outside the city, so a lot of people just move out here to get out of the city. You know, so the city itself is growing, of course. For me to tell you, like, when are we going to be 5A? Man, if I could predict the future, guys, you know, we'd all be in a different spot, right?
One more. How competitive is the tri-dual? You know, being from we're from Guthrie, but we always hear about Tuttle, Blanchard, and Newcastle. Tell me what's it like in the tri-dual area, competitive wise, athletic wise.
Tri-City area, man. Of course, you know, Newcastle and Blanchard. You know, I'm from Tuttle, so of course you don't. I mean, they're good people. They're great people over there in Newcastle and Blanchard. But when it comes down to athletics, guys, we don't like them, right? So they're our big rivals, and you know, they're great people. But you know, we want to beat them in everything we possibly can. You know, I think we haven't wrestled Newcastle in a long time. We wrestled Blanchard for the first time since, I believe, we wrestled in dual state several years ago this year. So, but it's highly competitive in all sports. Yeah. And of course, you got you know, it's Newcastle, Blanchard, Bridge Creek's right down the road as well.
That's true.
And so, you know, our little area where we're at it's growing. And yeah, of course, you know, we want to beat those teams in everything we possibly can. And it feels really good to do it too.
Yeah. Bridge Creek's over here. Mustang's not too far away either. As far as school districts butting up against each other.
Yes, with all of that wrestling that's going on in that area, is your Little League program, your feeder program, is that key to you guys, or are there several of the smaller club programs? Like, how does that work for Tuttle? Like, where are those kids coming from?
Yeah, we have, of course, we have our Tuttle Wrestling Club, our Tiger Wrestling Club. And, you know, this year we were fortunate enough to have Luke Serber step in with Jody Marple and Jake Rollsholt and BJ Jackson helping out. You know, so that's a great feeder program. Of course, there are Little League clubs popping up all over the place. Yeah. And so, you know, if they got a kid that's good and moving around, whatever it is, you know, of course, if some kid's a stud, you're like, yeah, man, they're moving into Tuttle, then they're coming to Tuttle. Yeah. You know, that dynamic of if you're going to get somebody, you have no idea. Right. Tuttle doesn't accept transfers. You have to live in Tuttle to go to Tuttle. And so, but yeah, there's some dynamics there of Little League clubs all around Oklahoma City in our area where there could be a Tuttle kid going to one of them that we haven't seen forever. And then all of a sudden, hey, he's been at Tuttle schools this whole time.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Jody Marple. He was he recruited me to go to UCO and was in my room. Talk about a guy in your room. I got a lot of respect for Jody, so lucky to have him there. But his kid's not too bad either.
No, Bostic and Titus and their daughter, they can all wrestle, man. And you know, Bostic will be a 9th grader next year.
Yeah. Oh wow. Wow, that'll be fun. So let me ask you this. There's obviously, you were talking, you know, Tuttle athletics is a big deal. Obviously, you guys want to win all that, but your culture in Tuttle to me feels different than most places. What is it that's different about Tuttle wrestling that's, I don't know, there's a different culture when I go there, when people talk about it. From my end, it's more of a reverence. You guys don't see that. You guys just think of yourselves differently, but talk about that culture you've created down there.
Yeah, we're extremely blessed with a bunch of people. I mean, it takes a village to, you know, be able to do what we're able to do. A lot of support through the community, past alumni coming in and helping out, like BJ Jackson. I have Brody Spencer. These are all guys that wrestled and grew up in Tuttle that are still helping out today. Coach Serber's still around, of course. He's our principal, comes in the room, wrestles, helps out. Greg Henning will pop in every now and then. Still giving back. And so we just have a tremendous support system for Tuttle wrestling. A lot of people care about this program, and like I said, it takes a village, and we got a great one. And that part of it's very unique, and we're just blessed to have that.
The numbers represent that. Tuttle 23 state championships in dual state tournaments. That's more than anybody. They have won 17 in a row. That's more than anybody. And they've made the dual state tournament 20 years in a row. Coach, you guys get victories over Skiatook, Cushing, and Bristow. What's the first match that comes to your mind at this moment from last weekend?
Like which team or individuals? There was
individuals, yeah.
Yeah, individual matchups. We had some big ones that we're going to see, in a couple weeks, and some that's going to help out when it comes down to some seeding criteria for regionals. But I think we had a couple state final matches that happened in some of these duels that were really important. That we came out on the plus side of those, and we're able to stretch the lead over that person. Because always tell those guys who have those matches, man, you got to find ways to separate yourself even more. Because we've wrestled one of them that I think we're going to have in the state finals again if everything works out right. We spread our lead on this kid, so got to go do it in a couple weeks again. But you got to make a statement. It's always fun wrestling Cushing. Love Barry; they do a great job over at Cushing. We had them in the semis. Same thing with like Bristow. With the starting weights, it's like. When I ran into Sean, where we were starting at in the duel itself, I knew it could get a little tight there for a little bit until we got to more of our veteran lineup. Mm-hmm. A lot of people who didn't know our lineup and saw the score was 22-3 at one time.
Yeah, yep.
And it was loud down there too.
Came back and scored 40 unanswered points on them. So into the duel 43-22. But I knew, and I don't like it when I'm right, and I'm sitting here trying to look at these duels, and I'm like, okay, this could happen, and then it ends up happening, and I'm like, okay, well, hate it that I'm right now, but it's not something that we didn't expect. I was taught really well by Serber to don't lay any stone unturned. You got to kind of look at it all different ways and make sure that if it doesn't go the way you think, you at least have some plan in place in case you have to, throw a Hail Mary or something out there. But the duel went the way, unfortunately, on paper when we lost some of those matches that, of course, you don't want to ever lose a match in any of them. But, it was an expected deal on some of those weights, and some of them, we didn't get bonus on a couple that I thought we would. And then we had guys get bonus that I didn't think. So some surprises and some good surprises. Of course, you like to win every one of them, but you got to prep for it. And, the guys responded well. They stayed together. I talked to them. I was like, hey, no matter what it is, this is where, this could be a situation. You guys just make sure you're trying to go out there and, don't over wrestle and put yourself in a bad spot. Go win your match. And then you got opportunity to get bonus, go get bonus because we're going to need it.
Yeah, honestly, I was watching when you guys were down by that depth. I was like, okay, I know it's coming, but I want to see in the moment how they react to this. And, of course, you guys rose to the occasion when needed.
Yeah, just like carrying water. They just picked it up and kept doing what they do.
We're lucky we have a core group of guys right there when it starts at 120. And when we got to 120 and things started rolling back to our way, I knew we were going to be all right.
Yeah,
of course, we can take care of business.
Yeah, when you're down by a touchdown and Tom Brady's your quarterback and there's 2 minutes play, more than likely it's going to go result in a touchdown, but you still want to see it and kids perform when it comes time to perform.
Coach, when you're on the mat yourself as an athlete, you kind of know what you're capable of. You kind of have some confidence, even if you're down, you can go get one. I mean, that you're an All-American, but as a coach sitting there in situations like that, is it more nerve-wracking knowing like, all right, I got these knucklehead kids. What's the emotions like? What, you got confidence in yourself different. Do you have that kind of confidence in these kids? Have you seen them perform in the past? Like, no, we're good. We're fine. I mean, or are you just putting on a game face and just, swelling up inside trying to hold it together?
Well, I was all kinds of emotions for a little bit there. Like I said, you don't want to lose any matches and you get highly competitive and, you kind of lose your temper for a little bit. But, I have confidence in those guys and all of our guys. But we get to that core group and I was like, all right, this is where, these guys have been all over the country wrestling. They have been in tight duels. They've been in big duels. This isn't a moment that they're not used to. they're going to be fine. We're going to bounce back. And whenever we got rolling and the momentum shifted, then I could kind of sit back a little bit and start thinking like, all right, how do we expand our lead here? Because there was several of those dudes where, I had full confidence that we are going to get a lot of bonus at some of those weights. And, they're proven to do it. They have the skill to do it. But no, it was the old emotional roller coaster of it. I still get caught up into it. Like
I saw it a few times.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love it though.
Yeah. For us, it's great. It's entertaining. We're not out there sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah. A few more gray hairs and a little bit more stress, but it's all right. We got some things we got to fix, of course, with some of those matches that we dropped, and those guys get some attention this week. And really, it's all about the most important tournament till the next one. I mean, regionals is the most important tournament till the next one. Can't wrestle in the next one unless you have a good weekend.
Absolutely. You mentioned Coach Serber a few times. You assistant coached with him for a few years, didn't you, before you took over as head coach? How valuable was that for you in moments like you're talking about to kind of to sit back and watch him and then learn from him and kind of still have him in your hip pocket, even though you're calling the shots now, doing your thing, but to have him around, how valuable is that?
Man, it's great. I have a unique perspective on it because Greg Henning was my coach for a little while, and Serb was an assistant, and then Serb took over the summer between my freshman and sophomore year. So he was my head coach for 3 years in high school, and then I went off to college, and I came back. This is my 10th year back at Tuttle, and so to be under him for several years and being able to learn and still have him around to either tell me I'm doing something that I should be doing differently, or being able to bounce things off of him, because I was like, hey man, I need some help here. I'm not sure what to do in this certain situation. I can just go ask him. Even if I don't like the answer, sometimes he's going to give it to me, and that's fine. And I
he will
love
do
him
that.
to death. He's a second father to me, and it's just great to be able to have him there. You got a legend and a coach that's right down the hallway. So that's always a great tool to have, and very blessed and thankful that he's still around to be able to, show some guidance on things. He talks to our guys a lot too. They can ask Serb things, or Serb will correct them on things as well. And so, he's awesome.
Yeah, I look around at your coaching staff, the guys that are around the program. Even I didn't know Greg was still around. Coach Henning, having a legend like him, and obviously Serber, now all the guys in your room. It's got to be nice. Sometimes you tell a guy the same thing 1,000 times, they never listen, and then they hear the same thing from a different guy, and boy, it's the gospel the minute they hear it. That's got to be nice to have. You guys are Tuttle guys. You're on the same page. You all want the same thing. It's got to be nice to have such a great staff around you.
Oh man, I'm extremely blessed. It's me, Coach Spencer, and Corey Hawk. All three of us are Tuttle guys. We all graduated from Tuttle. And then I have my young coach, Jalen Otero. He's a Catoosa guy, wrestled at the same college as I did. That's how I got to know him. And so we have, all the same mindset. We all really, really care about these kids and want them to reach their individual goals and team goals. And, have Serb and BJ Jackson and, Greg Henning is in the room as much as he used to be. He'll tell you he's just getting older. So, Greg's still around. He comes to every match he possibly can. Our tournament's named after him, so he comes back for that. I had him last year come in, show practice, and, he's willing to do that anytime. But like I said, he'll tell you he's just getting a little bit older. It's not as easy for him to get out there, but he did good, man. I think he's older than you think he is. Greg's taking care of himself, and he's doing really well.
Yeah. So I've got, moving on to postseason, just wrestling questions in general. It seems like the game is so much different now than it was back when I competed. You're a little bit younger than me, so you've competed a little bit newer, but you're still producing high level athletes. You got kids going to colleges all over the place, some of the best colleges in the country. They're coming right out of Little Tuttle, Oklahoma, but yet the game is changing. You guys are keeping up. What do you see that? Are you guys adopting, still doing what you've always done? How are you able to keep up with this ever so changing game?
Yeah, so there's still some fundamental core beliefs that we have that we, basics, of course, you always going to win with basics, but you got to keep up with the ever revolving things of wrestling. and it's, it's crazy that some technique comes and it goes, and some things are back and that, you haven't seen in a while. We all watch a lot of wrestling. All of our coaching staff does. And so, anything that we see, we think we can implement that works for our guys. Each one of our guys are different. They all have a different style to them. So you got to work with what you got on that end. And, we don't – when I say we don't have like a certain style of wrestling, all of our guys do something a little bit different. You could wrestle some teams, you're like, oh, they're going to be a front headlock wing team. That's all you got to really, you coach up and ready for that. I think we're kind of tough because we have some dudes that just all wrestle a little bit different. And so we spend a lot of individual time with them, kind of sharpening their skills and where we think that they could incorporate different techniques to better themselves. And so, we do a lot of homework, and, every week after duels or tournaments, it's individual notes for those guys of where we need to do better, if it's, technique or if it's mental. The game's changing. The game's always changing.
Will you guys sit down as a staff and kind of talk about, okay, the 113 pounder, this is where we think he needs to be? Is it a staff thing? Is it just kind of in practice, guys kind of helping out, or more deliberate, more loose?
We have a little, group text, and I always ask them like, hey guys, if there's anything you guys see, I've even done it too, where one of our coaches are overseeing like these 3 weights.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your 3 dudes, like make sure that they're getting better, breaking it down. Cause you got to have eyes on everybody, and you can't get caught just being on one side of the room, because then the other side of the room may be doing something completely different. So you got to have eyes everywhere. And we've done it that way where, you guys got them, you make sure that they're getting what they need. And no, it's a staff talk. We talk quite a bit. We all get along really well as a staff. Except 3 of us are from Tuttle. The other one, our young buck, he's always at the wrestling room. I think he lives there half the time. So he's helping out Little League, and, we're all in the junior high practices. So that's a unique thing that we all get to be with our kids constantly. And so, there's eyes on all of them.
If you're at you're doing junior high as well, are you excited with what you see coming up?
Yeah, we have some young kids that are, we're tough. And, there's a lot to work with. And our junior high this year was an extremely coachable group.
Wow.
We didn't have just like, we have some guys that are really good. We had several junior high state placers and things like that, but we have a group that's coming that is really coachable. People may not know who they are right now, but just give us a little bit of time, and they'll start being some household names.
It felt like a threat almost.
Hey, man, I started wrestling in 7th grade. Yeah, I started wrestling in 7th grade. So like, I take a lot of pride in developing a 7th grader. I wasn't a guy that wrestled since they were 4 years old or anything like that. I started in 7th grade. I'm a 7th grade product. Was lucky enough to have a good high school career and go on to college. So I know it can be done. I've had guys that, I got one at UCO right now wrestling, Tucker Waitman, who was a 7th grade product, 2-time state champ for me. Yeah. And so I take a lot of pride in those guys, and we got more of those guys. And I'm not saying his junior high career was very good. It wasn't. But we were able to turn it around in high school and get him on the right track.
I want to bring up Sean Roundsville. I think he's been at Tuttle High School for 27 years. It feels like because of football and wrestling. I think he's his 28th year. I think he might be out of eligibility here come May. But talk about him. He's so big time on the football field. He was surrounded by McAdoo, and then the quarterback comes in. But he's always been that pulse, that heartbeat for football wrestling. It seems like whether he's a young kid or now a senior, a freshman, now a senior, he's always been involved.
Yep. We have several of those guys. That's funny you say that, because when you got a guy that starts as a freshman, it does feel like that. I look at some other teams, I'm like, this dude's been in high school for 6 years now. Like, how in the world? But now, in reality, you see him every year. So, he's been a name. He's had a lot of success and a lot of things that he does. And so, of course, we haven't quite ended our season the way we wanted it yet. He's a 2-time runner-up. Last year, of course, he was hurt as a junior. We got big goals as a senior this year to end our wrestling career at Tuttle the right way this time around. And so, but no, he's a great all-around athlete. It's always great to have a big guy that can wrestle really well. Not just like a big guy. He can move. Yeah. And he's out there 190 pounds, hitting low singles and throwing in legs and everything else. And so he's a different feel for those big guys and is really successful doing it. because he's strong and, he just moves well. So we expect a lot out of him. He expects a lot of himself. Like you said, they seem like they're around forever whenever they're a household name.
Yep.
People just know who they are.
Yeah, especially in a small town like Tuttle.
Absolutely.
They get to watch him year round, sounds like.
A few more minutes here with Coach Bobby Williams of the Tuttle Tigers. Coach, you guys are hosting regionals this week. Outside the wrestling, when you host, is there a whole lot of work that goes into? I know Athletic Director Sean Brooks helps with that, but how much more work is it to host a regional?
Of course, it's like setting up a tournament. We host a lot of tournaments, guys. I think we host 5 tournaments a year, and so that part of it, it's clockwork. There's still just a lot that goes into it, of course. And with regionals is actually pretty simple to host because you get a schedule and you got to follow the schedule. There's not like your own home tournament where you can kind of move some things around or make adjustments. No, like you just set the mats up. You make sure you got people to work it, and you just got to follow the packet that they send you, and you just stick with it. Wes does a great job getting all the information to every place that's hosting a regional. And no, it's pretty simple. It's nice because we host once every 4 years, it seems like, just so our guys at one time can be at home for a regional is kind of the thing we've been doing for a while now. And so, it's just a little bit more work on the setup. That's about it. Set up and tear down. Outside of that, they get to go home, sleep in their own beds at night. And, it's pretty normal. They just like you said, another Tuesday because they get the rest of the Tuttle gym. And so, we host a lot of tournaments, and we have a great support system that helps with that. Got an outstanding booster club that helps out and, takes a lot of things off my plate to make these tournaments easier. And so, we got a great track person in Courtney Slover. She's a phenomenal track runs all that stuff. I think she sits down on a computer, runs like 6 tournaments at once. She's great at her job. And so, we got a lot of people that can help out in a big way. And so looking forward to hosting the regional. It's been, like I said, 4 years since we've done it. So
And I'm glad you highlight everybody because it is a production that you have to do that. You didn't mention a hospitality person, but I'm sure they'll have a big job in case Sean stops by.
She's fine. She does a great job. She knows.
Yeah.
So
talking about starting out coaching, when I first started coaching, one of my coaches, he picked tournaments based on the hospitality room. If they didn't have a good one, we didn't go back.
There's some really good ones out there.
There are.
Gary, Oklahoma. Gary, Oklahoma has a great hospitality room, and they're pretty known for it. And so, that is one way I guess you could base tournaments off of.
There's other criteria that probably matters, but
yeah. I hardly ever get to go to hospitality rooms. It's kind of upsetting.
Well,
see a lot of people walking around.
He's from Tuttle. He's on the mat the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, during the console rounds, he goes to the hospitality room.
Well, Coach, man, it was great to see you this weekend. Got to see you at lunch as well, and congratulations to your Tigers again. I know the do you feel the expectations, the pressure? Surely it's got to be there because I think there might be one day in the future, maybe 40, 50 years from now, that Tuttle doesn't win a state championship. But do you? I said 50 years, so you'll be retired. But do you feel that?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Do you feel that at all?
Like I said, we don't. I really like with the things like streaks and things like that. We don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about that stuff. I at least don't. And it's kind of funny. You brought up Tom Brady, and I watched his Patriots thing, and I've learned something he calls delayed gratification. So as soon as it's over, guess what, guys? It's next year. And so you don't really get a chance to really set back. It's very enjoyable, but I just look to see how much we can get out of 14 guys and how, and 14 individual goals and putting our best step forward. Is there pressure? Probably. And expectations are high, of course, but I think we do a great job with being relaxed in our room, just making sure the guys are having fun at, doing what they want to do, making it where it's not a job, that they're enjoying the moments and, just trying to carry on a legacy. Really, it's about their own goals. If they have high goals and they meet their own goals, guys, it takes care of the team.
Yeah.
And, we have a great group, and they rally together. They feed off each other. And, that even works, kids that may not be in lineup now are still in the room working hard with them. And, those guys step in. We've had a lot of guys that don't get opportunities to start till their senior year for Tuttle, and they end up being a state champ. Like, didn't get a chance to start any year, and they're finally a senior program guy, and win the ultimate thing you want to win in wrestling as a high school athlete, is a state title.
I've asked the same question to Lauren Montgomery of Bixby, Mike Dunn of Carl Everett, and you echo the same thing of just being able to handle those expectations. And they say the exact same thing as you guys. So I mean, it's so important for coaches to have that mindset to send that to 15, 16, 17-year-old kids to do that. So, Coach, man, we appreciate, I know you got Spider-Man on the TV going right now, but, man, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck this week at Regionals, and can't wait to see you at the OGD Coliseum. It's going to be a great time to open up that new facility.
Yeah, hey, thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for doing this. This is awesome for our wrestling community in Oklahoma. We need more stuff like this, of course, and so thank you guys for everything you do.
Coach, congratulations on another dual state championship.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Head coach Bobby Williams of the Tuttle Tigers.